Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Mac.
and today we're going to be doing a recap of our first ever Gen Con experience
Yeah,
in 2023.
that's it.
So I think from the sounds of it, it was finally kind of back to pre-pandemic Gen Con. I think before that it was pretty large, and now this year again, I think they had like 65 to 70,000 people over the 4 days. I don't know exactly how they get that number, what that really means, if that's total
Badges
individuals.
sold, or, yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so we'd never gone before.
Nope.
And your brother and sister-in-law had invited us a couple times.
Yeah.
Because they had gone.
My brother's
a
gone
couple
once. Carson's gone once.
Your brother went twice.
Yeah.
Once by himself. Yep.
With Carson.
Yes. So I guess they've gone two in one time. So
Yeah.
they've been there before, and we had never been there. They invited us to
Took
go.
a long way around that one, didn't we?
Yes. But yeah, it was a thing that I definitely wanted to go to and experience at some point. Being a gamer, it's kind of one of those things that I feel like you probably, if you live in the United States, I would say, and we don't live that far away from Indiana.
It's the thing to do.
It's probably the closest convention. Well, no, there's probably some other Midwest conventions.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments below what your favorite convention to go to is. But yeah, we got to go to Gen Con. It was our second, technically, sort of convention that we'd gone to. We'd been to the World Series of Board Gaming, which was a whole different.
And it's not a convention.
It's an event.
Yeah.
So.
But it's centered around board gamers, so they have board game adjacent items.
Right. So that was the closest thing we'd gone to for a convention in the past. So this was kind of brand new in multiple ways for us. And yeah, we ended up driving. So that's part of the experience as well. You drove about half the way and Carson drove the other. Wow.
Yeah. So it's about a 9-hour drive through Iowa, in Illinois, and Indiana.
So that becomes part of the experience when you're driving that much. And of course, being from Minnesota and going down to Indiana, the scenery is pretty similar the entire ride. So it's not like it's even necessarily like the funnest, like, oh, you get to see mountains or any of this. Nope, it is plains the whole way. Pretty much.
Yeah, it wasn't like South Dakota we've been through where it's just like cornfields and like just grass meadows and stuff like that. It was like literally just like trees and cornfields and bean fields, and I couldn't even tell we left Minnesota, honestly. I was like, no way, I thought there'd be some difference, but
no, it is very similar. So yeah, that was part of, I guess, the whole experience, and I would say it was fine. Luckily it wasn't.
Got to eat out a lot.
That's true. Got to make a few stops, and I would say that wasn't too bad. Although I wasn't one of the ones driving, so I don't know. It seemed like at least we didn't have like too many like detours and road closure things. There were a few spots, but it luckily wasn't too bad. Yeah. So that was a fair part of the experience. And then with that, we kind of got there later in the day on Thursday.
Yeah.
So.
And to be fair, I didn't know that there was a time
change,
time zone change, and so I had no idea because I probably would have left earlier, but I did not realize
that it came over that far either. So that was one thing that kind of played into that a little bit, but overall, I mean, we still got to go in the exhibitor hall for a little bit because just based on the timing of things, we ended up just going to the hotel first, which was about 20-30 minutes away. And so we got to go there for maybe about an hour, and then we went to, luckily we had tickets to the Dice Tower Awards event, so we still kind of had some stuff to kind of fill in that day, so that was nice that it worked out that way. But
and then I forget, what did we do after the Dice Tower Awards? Oh, we went to P.F. Chang's,
Yes, we went and ate at P.F. Chang's.
That was a late night.
That was a late night, and I'll unfortunately say our eating for that day was not my favorite. We stopped at Arby's, and then we ate at P.F. Chang's, and I would say neither one of those were my favorite.
I liked the Arby's chicken sandwich I had, but the P.F. Chang's was not. We'd
never eaten there before, and I think we might not have ordered the right thing. They didn't have any broccoli because it sounded like they had like an issue, like
their freezers
something had gone out. So,
but it was funny because it's really close to the convention center, and so a lot of the Dice Tower Award winners actually came to BF Chang's and carrying their big honking blue dice trophies. So I was like, hey, congrats,
All right. So yeah, that was cool. I would say from that day, probably the Dice Tower Awards was my favorite part. But it was also there was something fun about just getting a little taste of the exhibition hall or exhibitor hall. We obviously didn't get to see that much. I did mad rush to buy a game because I felt like I don't want to miss out on a day, so I felt like I had to buy something and got Redwood. But
yeah, well, and I came into this with probably the least information on what to expect. Like, my brother just talks about it being like a gaming thing where there's multiple stalls and rows of them, and I've been to like state fairs and stuff, so I just kind of assumed lots of people, but I really did not grasp how big this thing was. And so that little bite on Thursday night was like, okay, so this is like enormous. And then my brother's like, oh, and there's this and there's this and there's this, and I was like, all right, so it's like taking up acreage.
Right.
So I felt like that bite was good, because then in the next day I was ready. I mentally knew. I was like, I'm going to have to force him to go up and down each aisle.
Right. Like, and he's not going to want to do that.
We are not running around 30 rows of stalls.
Even though that is what I do.
I know.
I prefer that way.
I'm married to you.
Looking at what I want, but
I know.
No. Yeah. So that was a good first taste, first day. Then we got into our first full day, which was the Friday.
Yep.
We got there, I think, like 10:30, so it kind of been opened already. Kind of the masses had gone in and got all the hot games. But yeah, that was when we got a full day of experiencing. Like, we were kind of sticking together at the start, but Zach and Carson were going to meet up with some friends, and almost immediately in the first row we go down, we lose them because I kind of stop and see the Stonemeyer Maple Source.
We started going, but they stayed on the out edge, and I don't know why, if they were like talking or planning or what, but it was like, we'll see you later, bye. But they had to go get lunch with people in like an hour and a half anyway. So
it wasn't that big of a deal or anything, but it made me realize. Yeah, if you're going to be a group, it can be pretty easy to become separated, especially if someone at the end is like, oh, this looks interesting to me, and you might not be paying 100% attention, and then it's kind of, just so busy.
Yeah.
And like an hour in, I was like sweating. It's like I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt. I'm like, holy smokes, there are a lot of people here, and it's very crowded.
Well, we also were wearing backpacks.
That's true. That didn't
for the
help
day, and I am always cold. Like, I'm literally wearing a blanket right now. Like, I'm always cold, and I packed like leggings and stuff like that. But after being in the convention hall on Thursday night, I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna have to wear shorts tomorrow, and I am so glad I did, because I was just hot all day long and like sweaty, but like as soon as you leave the exhibit hall, I like got cold. So it was like anytime we stepped in there, it was just like 5 degrees hotter at least. So
yeah, 100%. Because we kind of like, there's like a weird in between area between. They've got kind of the end of the convention hall and then kind of the demo games.
Yeah.
And there's kind of this weird gap there, and it's like, it feels like it's 10 degrees cooler, maybe 15 degrees cooler than if you're in the heat of things.
Yeah.
So
it's like
we did have to stop there for a little bit. But
after like the first two rows.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend going through that in a big group. I mean, me and you went, obviously, like, I wanted to see what you were buying and see things with you, but I feel like it would slow down the process a lot more to, like, have 4 people look at the same booth, and then, like, if no one wants to look at it but one person, then you all have to sit and wait for that. So, I don't know, I think it was just more so just, like, a thing of being together, that we did eventually end up being a group, but yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe, the initial... first time through, for sure. I think it could kind of be fine splitting off to kind of get an idea of what you want. And then, later on, if you want to do like kind of another quick pass of kind of everything again, then it might work a little bit better.
But it's packed in there. It's really packed.
It is. So it is hard to sometimes even like stop.
It's hard to stay with you even sometimes. So
So that makes it a little tough, but...
So anyway, then that day we just went up and down all the rows. Like, we didn't take a break for lunch. We had some Cliff Bars packed. Thank God you packed those Cliff Bars.
I know.
Like, I don't even know what made you do that. And I normally am taking care of that, but I wasn't aware that you could bring, like, food into... Like, I tried looking, but I didn't want to bring stuff and then have to throw it away if there was, like, a bag check or something. And I probably should have realized after Thursday night, but I was so tired. Mm-hmm. But we just ended up having like a Cliff Bar and some water on the run as we marched up and down those aisles.
Yeah, for sure. And then, eventually we did go get a pretzel for kind of an afternoon snack, but...
and to sit down.
And to sit down a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot of walking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of walking. And it's kind of weird walking, too, because you're kind of, like you said, it's hard to get around people and stuff, so... Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing that's more tiring, I think, than maybe even just walking normal.
I could feel it in my hips because it was like, like I couldn't take like the full step that I normally do. It was just like a slow mosey is what you're doing, and I was like, oh, it's painful.
Maybe a little painful.
Yeah, it was good though.
But yeah, I don't remember if we went anywhere else. We might have did we go was that when we went and looked at the CGE? Thing? Was it that day?
Yeah. No.
Or was it Saturday?
I don't remember.
But,
we did go. We did go upstairs, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so. Because they've got some vendors end up getting like an extra room or whatever space outside of the exhibitor hall. They might also have one in. Depends on the people, but they might have something in the exhibitor hall and also have that for... I think most of those were more demo things, but I think some you could probably buy the games there too. But we did go look at that one, and and kind of sat down around outside as well, because it is a little easier to get around out there, I would say. It's kind of the same area we went and got the pretzel and sat down for a while.
Yeah, and then halls. Zach and Carson wanted to meet up for supper. Mm-hmm. So I think we went back into the exhibit hall, I think. Did we need to finish or something? Or?
Yeah, I can't remember if we went and took another look at like a specific booth or two. I don't remember exactly. Yeah. Probably to buy a game or two would be my guess that I probably wanted. But
look at the games to remember. Yeah, I think we went back for like Neotopia.
It could be. I don't remember exactly, but something like that.
We did go back in and we got Revive too. So I think we must have gone back in at one point. Mm-hmm. Walked some more, and then we met up with Zach Carson. That's what it was.
But so we did that, and then for dinner we got, what was it, sauce on the side?
It's called sauce on the side. They have amazing calzones.
It made up for the prior day for me.
Yeah. It was so filling. I was glad
we
didn't have lunch. That pretzel was almost too much, too. So.
Yeah, that was definitely very, very filling. Mm-hmm. Almost could have probably split it. Yeah. I think for sure if we would have gotten something like that for lunch, I would have probably just gotten one and split it.
I didn't know how big they were going to be.
I did not realize that. And it was probably, for the next day, it was probably cheaper than our lunch that we got from the food trucks the next day, which was crazy because it was 2 to 3 times the amount of food, maybe more. So, it was really good. Yeah. So, if that place is still there next year, or future years, I would suggest looking into that because they have weird, different ones too. It's not, what did you get, like a doodle, poodle, noodle?
Yeah, it was cockadoodle noodle.
And then I got some...
It's like a mac and cheese.
Other one too. So, it's not necessarily just specifically like pizza things, but they were really good.
And then after that, we went to the consignment area. So my brother and his wife met up with some friends who were doing some demos, and they told them about the consignment area over in the Marriott. So we ended up walking over to the Marriott, and I think we spent a good chunk of time in the consignment area. Mm-hmm.
So they have all these games that other people brought in, and there's kind of an auction going on at the same time, auctioning off. I'm assuming games. I wasn't really listening or paying attention to that exactly.
Yeah.
But they've got a ton of games that people brought in and put some sort of price on, either like a solid price or a price that's kind of decreasing throughout the days. So you kind of have a little bit of push your luck thing, like, oh, I could wait and see if this is still here, and get it for $15 less or something on Saturday. We ended up getting a game there, but we took a look through a lot of those games. So that was an interesting little place, and I think maybe in the future, if I had games to sell, but
and we drove.
I would probably see what I'd have to do to actually get my games in there because, I would think that'd get a lot of eyes on him. But your brother made it sound like he hadn't known of that place before that,
never
so
heard of that,
I don't know if that's kind of I feel like that might be a thing with Gen Con, as I feel like there's things going on, and it's not that easy to tell what things are going on and where they're going on.
There's so much going on.
There is a lot, and it's like all interconnected. It's like a campus almost. Like,
yeah.
Like if you're not from there, or don't know, like I don't know. That's easy to get lost,
Yeah.
but there's, I mean.
Well, see, and I didn't realize it was like a whole convention center. I thought we would literally be in like Lucas Oil Stadium because that's like what I would equate to being able to to hold a massive amount of crowds. I mean, like, a convention center must be a thing, but I was like thinking, like where we live, it's like, okay, so we'll just go to this place that has an arena for a convention, or we'll use this hotel lobby. That's, it's like, it's not, but this is like a whole building with like 2 floors, multiple rooms, enormous rooms, and like side rooms, and I was not prepared.
And they were almost all being used in one way or another. And then,
sure
you go down hallways and stuff to get to these connected buildings, including Lucas Oil Stadium, which in itself has the bleachers retracted so it opened up the field space more than even for like a football game, I'm assuming. And they were using up all that space. So I mean, there's a lot going on.
It's a big thing, and I think that's how we ended the night, right, with the consignment when we went home.
Yeah, and that was already pretty late. I think we ended up unboxing and playing a game, Dice Veggies, ourselves. But yeah, otherwise it was kind of late, so we didn't end up doing anything else that night. But we had plans the next morning to try to go back and get one of the hot games, so to say.
That did not work out.
And we got there about 9:30ish, 9:20ish, I don't remember. But 30-40 minutes before the gates open at 10, and we were still already pretty far back.
There's like 4 doors you can go into the exhibit hall. There's like 1 here and 2 here and 1 on the side, and we thought, okay, we'll go down to the far one that's the closest to the booth, and it's kind of out of the way. We thought maybe the crowds would be up on those first 3, not in this back one, but it was literally packed from that door to the next closest door of like a sea of people.
I wonder if we had stayed near the front one, I wonder if we could have actually made it
That's
easier.
what I was thinking.
Because at that time, that one wasn't as full.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it would have actually been easier to go that way.
I thought about that as we were standing there, because I was like, that was so not nearly as packed.
Right. At the time, at least, when we got there at 9:30. But maybe by that time, by 10, it was probably packed as well.
Yeah.
But yes, unfortunately, we did not get there early enough for it. You rushed as fast as you could without running.
I did. It's like, you can't see it. It's like a sea of people. It was nuts.
Yeah, and you ended up like 250th, and there was like 150 copies of it. So fortunately, we didn't get that one, but it was interesting.
We did get another one. I don't know if she'll ever see this video, but
That's
like
true.
We did. We got you got a copy of it, and I didn't know if you had gotten it, so I had my hands on it, and I was calling you like, I don't have my wallet. And like, do I need to buy it? And you're like, no, I got it. Okay, so I put it back on the shelf, and literally all of them were gone, and so I had held one, and so now some lucky guy or girl
that came after probably some poor person that came at the right time didn't get it, and someone else does.
Got the copy I was holding.
But yeah, so we did get that, but yeah, that one is one that we're giving as a birthday present. So I think we'll get to play it though, so that'll be good, maybe. Yeah. If she wants to play with us.
If she doesn't like it, we'll take it, I'm sure.
That's true. But yeah, so I personally, I don't know. There's something exciting about that for me. I don't know if you're into that mad Black Friday type rush as much.
Not overly.
Maybe it would be if it was like something like classic books all going on a fire sale. Signed copies of rare books.
They'd have to. I don't think I have grants to drop, so.
No, these are cheap. $5 we're talking.
Interesting. Probably forgery.
But you gotta be in there quick.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
Maybe, but.
I think in the future I would, but I think what I'd want to do is probably get there and do that like Thursday, because I think that would I have nothing to actually back this up.
Yeah.
So let me know if you've been to Gen Con many, many times and have been able to get the hot games. Do you usually get them mostly on Thursday, or are there other ways you get them? Or do you get, how early do you get there? I have no idea. I'm assuming some of those people probably got there at like 8 o'clock or something.
Well, and the thing is, I don't know if there's a better way to do it, but it's like they only have so many copies per day in some situations, so they keep restarting the hype the next day if you don't get it. So it's like I kind of wish they'd just give them all out, and then we wouldn't have to worry about about it, you know. But
yeah,
I can understand.
There's some good things to it, some bad things, but I feel like maybe the first day they might have more of the copies there, just in case it doesn't end up being hot.
Sure.
So that they can actually get rid of it. And then maybe judge from that if they need to keep bringing more in. But I don't know. If anyone's watching this that has a better knowledge of that, definitely let us know. But I think I would be willing to do that in the future. I wouldn't necessarily make anyone come with me if they didn't want to. But
you wouldn't make anyone come with you? I'd have to drive you there.
I'd get an Uber.
Sure.
No, just to get there, I'd make sure I'm paying the $700 or $800 hotel to be connected. And the worst part is I'd get lost on the way there.
This is sounding like a very expensive vacation.
Yeah. We will be going probably next year, but
no.
Maybe in a future year. So, any info on that would be much appreciated for me.
Yeah, and then we just spent the day in the exhibit hall again.
Got some more games.
Yep, and I think we took a break and went over to Lucas Oil Stadium to check that out. Which there's the tunnel you can walk through that's full of board game stuff. And then we ate at
actually the pinball machines and
Yeah.
Pinball Alley. I don't know if that was new because I thought I was watching something recently and they said, oh, they even had a pinball thing along there. So, which to me made it seem like that wasn't a normal thing, but it kind of felt like, oh, this must always be set up like this, but maybe not.
Maybe they were in a different area.
It could be.
Yeah. So we did that. We ate at the food truck.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went back inside, and I think we tried to do the exhibit hall one time real quick.
Yep. And ended up getting a couple more games.
Yeah. We did take a couple of breathers there because it was like we just didn't know what to do. We didn't sign up for any demos.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like, what are we going to do with it, you know? And so then I was like, I knew my husband, and I was like, yep, let's just go back through it one more time. And I think he bought more games on Saturday than he did Friday.
What? I don't think it was more.
It was
more.
It was close. No, it was more.
I don't know about that.
I have the pictures to prove it.
Wow. Well, you go look at our Gen Con haul and you figure it out. I don't know if we said when we got which, so it's going to make it hard for you guys to figure it out, but you can check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we kind of went back to the hotel and ended up playing a couple of Zach and Carson's games.
Flamecraft. No.
Acropolis and Trekking Through History.
That's one. All I could
History.
All I could think of was Time Machine. I was like, that's not right.
But yeah, those were both really, really solid games. Mm-hmm. And then we did not go back Sunday. We drove back up.
We had a 9-hour drive, so it wasn't worth it to go there for an hour just to turn around and head home.
Exactly. So yeah, that's another thing. Let us know in the comments if you made it this far. Do you usually stay for Sunday? What does Sunday usually feel like? Because when I was looking, I think the badges for that are cheaper. So I'm like, I don't know if that is to try to get more people in because Sunday's not a hot day.
Well,
I have no idea.
It's also like not as long. I mean, it's like shortened by 2 hours.
That's true. So yeah, let us know if there's great deals going on Sunday. If you're usually if you ever go to that, but
Vulture pick apart the remains.
Exactly. But otherwise, overall, I think it was a pretty solid experience.
Yeah, I'd go back.
Yeah, I think it probably wouldn't be something I'd necessarily do every year.
No,
but,
please no.
Yeah, I'd definitely go back. And the way I am wanting to get several games, I'd maybe want to bring a car as well. I think it'd make it easier. I wonder if it wouldn't be... the worst part is it's always at the beginning of the month, which is not the best time for me work-wise, so that makes it hard to take off more time, but I was like, well, if you could maybe, explore Indianapolis a little bit more on the side, it's probably nicer to have your own car, but you can always rent a car, I guess, too, but sometimes it's nicer to be driving your own car. The driving in Indianapolis was not was interesting.
It was rough
I
the
don't know
first
why.
day, and then every day after that, we took the non-freeway.
We did. We took something like 5 or 6 minutes longer just to not have to take the
But I think that was
weird.
fine.
Yeah,
It was way
that
less
part
stressful.
that part was pretty normal.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Overall, I think it was good. I think, the biggest thing that I'd probably change is probably sign up for a couple demo type events. I felt like since the only thing we signed up for was the Dice Tower Awards. I felt like since we didn't sign up for them, it just seemed like a harder process to get kind of included in some of those things.
You can show up at the same time,
Right,
and if no one comes within 15 minutes, which I'm like, what do? They wait for 15 minutes to start explaining the rules?
Yeah, so that part, I was like, I don't really want to do that necessarily. Yeah. But I think, in the future, I'd probably book at least one ticket per day I was planning on being there just to have kind of a break away from walking around and doing things. If not, maybe two, and then have them like spread out by a decent amount. Yeah. I wouldn't also want to, pack my day full of all those things, but just pick a few things that I looked interesting or something. I think that would be kind of a nice different pace versus just necessarily walking through the halls over and over. But
get yourself a seat.
Right.
That you can sit in for a while.
Right. But initially when we looked at it this year, there were just so many things, so many events that it just was very hard to decide. I don't know, and we didn't really know what our plans were and when we were going to get there, when we were going to leave, if we were going to have anything come up. So we thought it was just easier to not add too much complexity. Yeah,
and I guess I didn't. I mean, I saw those, but I guess I didn't really register in my brain that like, oh, these are events you can do. But I also, like I said, came into it probably with the least amount of information. So.
But there was plenty of things we probably could have played if we wanted to sit down and have someone explain it to us. But so that was our Gen Con experience. Overall, it was a lot of fun. I thought you may not have had as much fun, but you put up with me.
It was good. I mean, I like being among my nerds.
You were hoping that they'd have a bigger section of books.
No, it's just fun to like, see what people are wearing and like with their game shirts and stuff. And I had people asking, based on like my Stonemeyer shirt or whatever. And I just think it's really cool because a lot of times when I talk about liking board games, it's like, oh, so you're like that kind of weird. And there it wasn't. It was just everyone likes it, and so I felt like that was a good sense of community. So we're all waiting in line to get like the nerdiest T-shirts,
right?
Like
we got our
Pokemon and Gen Con shirts, and it's just such a different vibe than like a sporting event or something. And so I don't know. It's just
there were some similarities. I mean, there's similarities in slightly different ways.
Sure.
So but
that's true. Instead of there to cheer on the Colts, everyone's there to board game stuff.
Right.
So. Yeah, it was a good time.
So that's what we got, and we have a couple other videos. Like I said, the Gen Con Hall, and then we actually did a video one of the nights that we were there.
Yeah,
we didn't end up videoing anything else because we just I don't know. We just didn't have time, and we didn't even know if we were going to film anything. So we'll probably put that out, I think, alongside this one, so you can check that out to see our kind of initial reaction to actually being there that night of.
In our Ralph hotel room.
Yes. So you can check that out. And then we also put out we'll be putting out a video for some tips, so to say, of after our first Gen Con, what we would do next time. So
if you need some experts.
So if you need some of that advice, or if you need to give us some advice, you can go to that video and
tell us all the tips.
I
want to know for next time, so I understand more.
We do.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.